Kalimera, Kalispera, wherever time you're watching, this is MAPPA. Stel is here as usual, and I've got a special guest to preview the Pafos against ELFSBORG game. It is Swedish football journalist Marcus Liedbergius. Did I get it right?
Yes, perfect.
Otherwise, I'd have to start this again. I don't want to do it again. I already got the intro.
That was perfect. You nailed it.
Marcus, thank you for joining me, mate. Marcus, before we start, what's your background? What newspapers do you work for? Is it websites, sports?
No, it's a website, Football Direct, is it called? We have been there for soon, maybe 2.5 years. And it's actually my first work as a journalist. Before I was in constructioning and everything, so I changed lane.
There you go.
Completely.
And you're happy now?
Yeah. Very good.
Excellent.
Very happy.
Excellent.
And we work mainly with Allsvenskan and Swedish football, but now with the Euros, we've been working a lot with that also. So okay. I think we're getting all wider, and we'll be working with European football also in not too long forward also.
Excellent.
So we're expanding.
Happy days.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about this game that's coming up, ELFSBORG against Pafos. A very interesting encounter, mainly for us because, number one, this is the first time Pafos have been in European competition. They won the cup for the first time in their history last season, beating mighty Omonoia 3-0 in the final. I don't want to talk about that too much. And there's interesting things happening with Pafos in the background, especially with their links to Sevilla and Watford. Now they're facing a club from Sweden. ELFSBORG, as far as I'm aware, have got a lot of heritage in Sweden. And from what I understand, they've been selling a lot of players to higher level clubs like Brentford and Celtic. So what can you tell us, first of all, about the club in terms of its history, how it did last season? Because I know that the league has started, hasn't it, in Sweden? So yeah. There's still a lot going on. How did they qualify for the Europa League, etc., etc.?
The history, it's a club where they work with a lot of continuity. They got their club manager or club director, Stefan Andreasson. He was a player for the club at the 90s, early 20s, and I think he's been first sporting director. I think 2006, I think he became sporting director. Since 2010 or something like that, he's been a club director. So they are working a lot with old players, and they got their strategy straight to the club's identity. It's very important for them, and that's also their old manager who. Now is the new manager for Aberdeen. He's been at the club for 7 years, and last year they were second in Allsvenskan. They should have won it, but which game was it? Was the not no? It was 20 game 29 of 30. They just should have assured the league title for against Degerfors, who was was relegated already, but they couldn't win it. And in the last game, they were playing against Malmö FF, who was second, and they just couldn't take it home. And it was playing at their home stadium, but they couldn't win it. So Malmö was winning it for the 23rd time, I think. Malmö.
They've won it a lot of times. They won it a lot of times.
No, there's no competition for Malmö, really. They too rich. They got the heritage and everything. So I think this could be the last year that it was close. I think that Malmö will win. It's almost like in Scotland or in Juventus when they won 10 years. Yeah, but ELFSBORG, they were second in the league, and they got the Europa League qualification because Malmö also won the Swedish Cup this summer against Djurgården.
It's a very interesting concept, the Swedish league, because as far as I'm aware, clubs are not allowed to be purchased by foreign investors, are they? They have they have to stay within the country.
Yeah, we got 59% rule, it's called, and 51% of the clubs, it's the supporters that own 51% of the club.
Right.
So you can buy 49%, but you got no tell whatsoever.
Right.
The supporters are deciding. So
okay.
So we're a very different league. Yeah.
Well, it can only be a good thing, really. I mean, obviously, it's not going to put you up with the elites because obviously you need the financial investment to be up there. But at the same time, you keep the heritage and the history of the country, and you can also do things the right way, as I say. But what makes Malmö so rich? Is it because of Champions League qualification over the years? Is it sales?
No, it's both really, but mostly because of the European success they got.
Right.
This era they're in now, it was starting, I guess it was 2013, and just the year before they were in very deep economical problem, but they won the league, and then they got qualified for the Champions League the year after with a lot of young players also. So like Emil Forsberg, Philip Helander, like you were talking about earlier, Pontus Jansson, and players like that. So they all was a real success, and they were sold for big money. And also then 2001, they sold Ibrahimovic for about almost 100 million crowns. So
it's Ajax, wasn't it?
Ajax. Exactly. Yeah. So and then now last summer they were sold Hugo Larsson also to Eintracht Frankfurt for about 7-8 million euros, something like that. Also, so yeah.
Wow.
And
so
they have
developing
been
players is their thing.
I think they have been in 4 group stages in Champions League since their first year, 2013.
Incredible, absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
So ELFSBORG, then tell us about this team, this current team, what we're about to see against Pafos, because as we mentioned earlier, the season is at a good stage right now. Clearly the players have got the match fitness. Pafos probably not so much, even though they have been playing pre-season games. What can you tell us about this team?
Yeah, right now it's a little break, and it's been a break here for 3 weeks. It's starting again this weekend. That's coming. But the club, the players, it's a combination of young, up-and-coming players, and also more older players that played outside in Europe and come back to ELFSBORG, like Niklas Hult, Johan Larsson. And also the young players now, the best one is Michael Baidu, and he's been a lot of clubs from Britain has shown some interest in him mostly, and also other clubs from England, Germany, and Italy also, I've heard. So he's the one to really look up for. He's the most biggest threat, obviously. And
what position is he?
Central midfielder,
right?
Mostly more offensive.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they are playing a very direct style of play, very attacking. A lot of fast runs, and also very hard in tackles and everything. They're very straightforward to score goals.
Right.
But this year they've not been that good like last year. They are 7th in the league, I think, something like that. So they've had a bad start of the season now.
Right. Okay. So in terms of their defensive structure. I can talk to you all day about Buffer and how they play, but how would Elfsborg cope with quick wingers and a tough centre forward like Buffer have in Jaro?
Yeah, I think that could be some way good for Elfsborg because, as I said, they're very tough and their central backs are playing very hard kind of play, and also the wide backs they got very much experience and they run a lot, so it's a very physical defense line.
Yeah, because when we watch Buffer play in Cyprus, we notice that they have their own attacking fullbacks that get forward. The two wide men, whether it be Bruno Felipe on one side or maybe even Tankovic, who I guess you probably know from his time at Hammarby. I think he was there for 3 seasons. So they've had a successful season. As I said, they won their first cup in their history. I mean, this is a club that was created in 2014. But with their new head coach Carcedo that came in at the beginning of last season, he's a Spanish head coach, but he seems very pragmatic in how he plays. Likes to get men behind the ball, likes to hit teams on the counter attack, especially in the derby games. Sometimes the build up can be pretty slow as well, but when things click into gear, we can see how dangerous they are, and they like to shoot from range as well. So I'm not sure how Elfsborg will set up in this game. Do you think it'll be more like a traditional European game where they'll be sitting behind the ball hoping to hit Buffer on the counter attack, or will they, just go front foot?
I think this is about how they played under the former coach, but they were almost even if it's at home or away, they always play very direct and they were pressing very hard just to win the ball and use the other team in bad positions to get forward and score goals fast. And this year that hasn't worked so well because they've got a new goalkeeper. That's the biggest difference from last year. He was one of their most important player last year, and they got a big problem with finding a new goalkeeper that can do the same stuff and mean the same for them this year. And in that way, they have been hurt very, very, very much in the beginning of the season because everything is not working solidly as it was last year. So I think that could be one way Pafos could use to hurt Elfsborg.
And what about corners, set pieces? Are they dangerous? Are they good at defending them as well?
Yeah, they got some long and strong defenders that's very good, and also very good free kick foots and corner kickers. So they've been scoring a lot of goals at free kicks and something like that.
And what about traveling? Are they good at traveling away from home, playing against other teams or at different stadiums?
Yeah. As I said, they used to play almost the same way, whether it's home or away. But in Europe, the last time it was, I think, 2 years ago, they were playing Feyenoord, and it's a big difference from playing at home on the artificial grass, and also then play outside.
Right.
So that's a big difference. So I guess. Pafos is grass, right?
Yeah. It's I mean, the pitch sometimes isn't great. Because the thing is, in Cyprus right now, it's 40 degrees. So it's very difficult to maintain grass, especially this time of year. And I think they're playing, when is it? The 11th of July they're playing in Cyprus? 18th of July they're playing in Cyprus.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it will be, what time in Cyprus will it be? 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock Cyprus time. So it will still be pretty warm. But again, so I guess the preparations will have to be different as well.
Yeah. But that could be positive thing for Pafos to play at our grass and play at home in that warmth also, because I think it's not the same here in Sweden or in Borås where their stadium are. It's a big difference on the underground, along the ground.
Yeah, for sure,
Yeah.
for sure. And also, what do you think the reaction was to the draw from the ELFSBORG fans? Did they feel excited? Did they think that they can get the victory? Do they know much about Buffalo?
I don't know really, but I think they were thinking it was a good draw. I think just because as you said, Pafos hasn't played in Europe before, and for ELFSBORG, they've been playing in Europe qualifications for a lot of times since maybe 2010 something. They've been playing and they got the experience and like that. So I think they were appreciate the draw.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, for Buffalo, I mentioned Tankovic before, who's played in Sweden, and there's also Valakari, who is from Finland. So I guess he knows the region as well. So I think from a tactical perspective, it'll be an interesting one. As I've mentioned before with Carcedo, the way that he sets up his team, especially in the big games, he's very cautious. But I think this one could go either way. I remember 2 years ago, Upwell played Djurgården in a qualifier. And while Upwell did okay, you could tell the quality was so much higher with Djurgårdens, especially on the ball. Buffalo are a different proposition to what Upwell were 2 years ago. Buffalo have got players that are playing at the Euros at the moment with Rus for the Romanian national team. The goalkeeper Ivusic is Croatia's number 3, I think. And then, as I mentioned before, with Jairo, who's played for Hajduk Split, he's played at a very high level. And then that's talk about Gane and Mustafa Nam, players that have played in Greece. So I think Buffalo can go into this game quite confident, but at the same time, they need to be cautious because we know that playing in the Cypriot League, while, okay, they didn't have a great league campaign and they won the cup and they have beaten big teams, the Swedish league is still a level above the Cypriot League. So they need to be very cautious about this one, for sure.
Yeah, but as you said, the players and also even just Tankovic, I think they know him a lot. But when he was here in Hammarby, he was one of maybe top 5 players in Allsvenskan, and Hammarby they made goal scoring record 2019 with Tankovic with one of the main players really. So they know who Tankovic is, and I think that could make them be a little bit more cautious, of course.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. Well, this is a good segue to my next question, and we're going to move away from this game because you mentioned Tankovic, who was at Hammarby. There was a gentleman that was sporting director of my club, Omonoia, who was at Hammarby, and that's Jesper Jansson. Now, I'll give you a bit of a backstory before we go into the question. Jesper Jansson got the Omonoia job as a sporting director last summer, and I, for one, was excited. This is a guy that has got a big reputation in Sweden, in Scandinavia, has got good connections, especially in the African market. Omonoia were looking for a sporting director for 2 years. I thought this is great. Some of the signings that were made sense. We signed Alium on loan. That he turned out to be a fantastic loan signing for us. But unfortunately, it didn't work out for Mr. Jansson. Now, there's a lot of bad blood between him and the club. Omonoia's president came out and said various things, which, okay, I'm not going to say too much about it because I have my opinion on the matter. And I know a lot of Omonoia fans won't like my opinion. But this is an ongoing issue. It seems to have gone quiet at the moment. Again, what was the reaction to Jesper Jansson's sacking? And have you heard anything from anyone regarding the situation right now?
Oh no! Oh wow! It was a big surprise.
Wow!
No one could really understand what was going on. Really, it was coming from nowhere, and as you said, it felt like they got Jesper Jansson because of his long-range thoughts about how you building a football club, not just for 2-3 years, only for to make a big difference on all levels with the team and with the club. How you letting young players develop and be make big money at sales and everything. So I thought that was a perfect guy to start a new thing in Cyprus. But it was so crazy when we heard that he was sacked. But about what we've heard, Jesper hasn't been talking a lot about it, because he has told the media that it's he can't talk about it because of what do you say?
Well, did he sign a contract, NDA, a non-disclosure agreement with the club? Or
No,
is it,
because it's some legal actions made, but I don't know from where. If it's, I think it's from Jesper Jansson, because
Okay.
he hasn't get all money or everything, something like that.
Right.
I'm not really
Yeah.
sure, because, as I
Yeah.
said, he hasn't been saying that much, just because of that.
Right. That's fair
Yeah.
enough. That's fair enough. Because for me, how the situation happened was very, very strange. And even when he was accused of doing something, I still thought to myself, well, even if a sporting director was making money from transfers, because that's what the allegation was, and I'm still going to say it was an allegation because nothing has been proven. If a sporting director was making money from transfers, for me, it happens in football. It's normal. And it's normal. It's very normal in Cyprus as well. And I'm going to say it like it is. So for them to sack him for something like this, I think it's very strange. I think it's very strange. And I know there are certain things that happen within, not just Omonoia, but other clubs in Cyprus, that people have stayed in jobs for doing worse. So again, it doesn't make sense for me. And let's get it right. When Mr. Janssen came in, he said a lot of the right things, and his idea or his ideas seem to be working. The signings that we made that were his signings, they made sense. You know, Cipriano came in, Simic came in, Koulibaly came in. These players have turned out to be pretty decent. As I mentioned, okay, Amor came in, and I'm not going to say too much about him because it was a disaster. And I think that was a big mistake signing that player, especially given his legal problems. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, there were signings made that looked pretty decent. And again, we were back to square one. So it was a bit of a strange one for me, but I just hope that it doesn't end up being as messy as what it is at the moment. So yeah. Anyway.
No, it's a crazy situation. Then how it just ended so far, also, so
Abruptly, yeah.
early at the stages. It was just confusing, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's stay on Omonoia, and there's a Swedish central defender linked with Omonoia at the moment. It was in the couple of websites the other day. It's gone quiet again. Helander, wasn't it? Helander?
Yeah, Helander. Philip Helander, yeah.
There you go. So what do you know about this player? The reason why I ask you is because I've got a friend that has a Glasgow Rangers podcast, and he said the guy was a very good defender, but very injury prone. Now, I don't know what he's done since he was at Glasgow Rangers, but what can you tell us about this player, and are his injury problems behind him?
No, he's been injured. He's been playing in Danish Randers for, I think he joined them last year, and he's been playing a lot for the clubs. Only this winter for maybe for some weeks he was the coach set him aside because he wasn't in a good shape, but in general he's been playing very good. and he's a very solid center back, good at defending mainly. And he's been at the Swedish national team for a lot of years, and been starting only for about 2 years ago. I think he was a starter beside Nilsson Lindelöf. So he's a very good player. It's only the injuries that been a bit of a problem, though.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And in terms of, is he right-footed, left-footed?
Right foot, I think.
Right-footed.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And would you say that his strengths are more his aerial ability? Does he read the game well? Is he a captain material? Could you
Yeah.
say that he's a leader?
Yeah, of course. He was captain in Randers
Okay.
most of the time, and he's a very calm center back, very good split vision, and very good at defending mostly. And also, he's got a decent foot, but it's the defending that's his strength.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And the final question, can't not talk about this guy, our friend Mr. Yannis Pittas, who's doing pretty well in Sweden at the moment. What can you tell us about him?
He's been great. He's goal scoring. It's crazy. I think he's every game at home at the Friends Arena. He's been scoring at least 1 goal. So I think he's scored maybe 15 goals at 20 something games. So it's been crazy. But AIK hasn't been that good. They've been playing very, very bad, really, for the last year since he arrived, really. They were last year almost relegated from Allsvenskan. They were secured the Allsvenskan contract in the, I think it was maybe game 29 of 30. So, but sure, he can score goals from every angles, and I like his ability to never stop running. It's crazy how much he runs. And that's almost that's not so often you see this in Sweden. You can score goals and run and press and always be hunting the ball. It's very, very good attributes.
His development has been incredible because we know that his dad was a popular footballer, but when Pittas was starting out at Apollon, he was a left winger, and then he moved more central, and then he became like a second striker, and then it was 2 years ago, in fact, the season before he joined AIK, he was on fire. He was sensational, and he just hasn't looked back since. And for a Cypriot player to not only go to a bigger league, but to do so well, it's incredible. It doesn't really happen. We've had Sodiriu, who's at Copenhagen many years ago, and a few other players have gone. Laifis was in Belgium for a good few years. So we've had 1 or 2 players, but we look at Pittas and we're thinking, you know what, he can be the player. He's 27. He could be the player that the younger players look at and say, right, if he can do it, then so can we. So in terms of how the fans or even the people in Sweden have seen him, have they been impressed by him? Did they expect anything different because he came from Cyprus?
No, the expectations were, I think it weren't any real expectations because he was an unknown guy from Cyprus, but everyone was impressed by the first game. I think he scored his first goal the first game, really. And as I said, his his abilities with running and scoring goals from every angles. He shoots almost too much sometimes.
Right.
But for me, I like that. I think he's been shooting from halfway maybe 8 or 10 times since he arrived last summer. It's crazy, but he's got a good eye to where the goal are. That's why he always shoot, because he can score goals. So he's made a big impact on the audience here.
Has he suffered since Helander left? Has anything changed? Has he been still getting opportunities? I haven't been following him this season.
Oh no, because as I said, it's been vacation, so the
Right.
new coach have only been able to coach for 2 games, 2 friendlies, really.
Right.
One were this, I think it was Saturday against Sparta Prague,
Okay.
and before last week, and it was against some Norwegian team. I don't remember which one it
Okay.
was, but he was at vacation then, so he has been able to play.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
but against Sparta Prague, John Guidetti were making his comeback, so now he can play with
Guidetti. Okay.
yeah. So I
Wow,
think
that's a
they will
name.
be a forward duo. Really, John
Okay.
Guidetti with more like his foot, his playing ability and smartness, and then Pittas up front, running and scoring goals. I think they will be a good duo.
Yeah, because I remember Guidetti. He was at Celta Vigo, wasn't he?
Yeah,
Celta Vigo. He's the
yeah,
one that missed that opportunity against Man United in the last second, wasn't it? In the Europa
yes,
League.
yes,
So he was at
yes.
Manchester City before. That's right.
Yeah. And
Still a
Alaves
big
before he
name.
joined AIK
Alaves, yeah.
also. But
Yeah.
yeah. That goal could mean so big difference on his career.
Yeah.
If I've heard, because I've speak to some Spanish journalists when he arrived, and they told me that if he would score that goal, he would be one of Celta Vigo's maybe biggest legends. But no,
Yeah.
he,
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
small details could.
fine margins, yeah, unbelievable, and you'd have bet everything for him to have scored that goal. It was perfect inside the 6-yard box, and
Mm,
yeah, oh well.
no.
Well, Marcus, look, it's been great talking to you, and
Mm.
hopefully we can do something again sometime. So I'm pretty certain we might see a player from Sweden coming to Cyprus soon. It happens, or maybe a player from Cyprus going to Sweden. You never know. You never
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, of course. Peters made a good marketing for that.
That's right.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, boys and girls, thank you for tuning in. We'll be back very soon. So until next time, adios.